Das ist es.
It's all in the reset, and I need them to be sound. Yeah. Take everything, cause I did it all for you now. Maybe looks what you see fast, but the sun is in the dark. Now we're halfway to the sun.
It's so calming.
It is. It's this should almost be Casual Friday.
Oh, you know what? I think it is Casual Friday.
I mean, I'm casual. I don't have a green screen down.
Really? I didn't see your full screen earlier.
Yeah.
You're not rocking the green screen tonight?
Not tonight. It's Casual Friday.
It's Casual Friday. And then we get in there and it's pitch black. Like, oh, shit, that's your Casual Friday?
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we keep it casual, let's start the show. Let's do this!
Distance nerding.
It's a little bit off. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday. It's not our normal day. It is now. It is a normal day now. But I mean, still, it's the new day. And not the resting crew.
I'm intrigued by Sandra's Casual Friday dinner of eggs and hot dogs.
At a table with a glue gun and a sandworm on it. That is what we call a Hispanic dinner. It is hot dogs and eggs. I'm sure our guests will attest to that's probably also a Filipino meal. Mostly because it has eggs in it. And the Pinoy get down, bro.
I like eggs.
I mean, we can't really say anything. You just tried lumpia for the first time, bro, like recently. So I mean,
yeah.
Like Chicago. It's okay.
We got Chicago deep dish pizza.
I hear you guys pizza in Chicago is more Detroit style, and then for all the for like it's the square, like like regular pizza, but then for some reason every time I talk to people from Chicago they say no, Chicago pizza, like the Chicago deep dish pizza is for like tourists and visitors. Actual people from Chicago eat like the square style, like Detroit, what they call Detroit.
No, we cut it into squares.
Yeah.
It's not a square style. We cut it's a thin crust, New York style, but we cut it into squares as opposed to slices.
Oh, so it's not like the deep, not like deep dish, but like the thick bread, the thing on there, like the way they eat it in Detroit.
No.
Okay. Still better. Okay, and either way, ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching The Build, and I've already wasted enough of your time with this dumb joke. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into this now. I am your boy, Young Phil. I forgot to change my the thing in my name, so it still says Phil, Young Phil, referencing a James Bond joke from yesterday. But but of course, to my other side, right there, to the right on my screen, right there, the host with the least
hair
on his head,
exactly,
but not on his face. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our boy, Graveyard.
Daylong, did I get the box? There is a box upstairs somewhere, so I'll have to hand it to you when I get it.
I'm saying, did he send you? He sent you a box, so did you get your box that he sent?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I haven't opened up yet.
Yeah. There should be a said game that I was supposed to send you a long time ago in there as well. So Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching the build. We are ready to jump on this. Now, before I get into the build, before I bring on our guest, of course, we got to talk about keeping the lights on and doing all the things that we do around here. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this show, this entire channel, everything we do here is brought to you by the good people over at W. That's right. W is a brand of energy drinks created to help focus, concentration, reaction time with no jitters or crash. W contains no maltodextrin, no sugars, no fillers, no artificial colors or dyes. Now, you may be wondering, why is it different? How come I should spend the money, get some W, and get that sent to me, just like the DeLongs do, just like who else in our Tater Bob? Constantly
I keep getting promised little nondescript baggies of white powder to be delivered to me too.
I mean, it is W because it is nondescript white powder because it doesn't have the artificial colors in it. All the dubs, guys, if you want to get down on the W contains Neurofactor. Neurofactor is a neurotropic derived from the coffee fruit. Neurofactor helps give your brain focus and clarity, while the 150 milligrams of caffeine and 3 essential B vitamins help you stay alert and energized. Find out more about W at www.w.gg. Use the code NERDING10. That is NERDING 10 for 10% off your order. It is delicious. It is worth it. Everybody that buys it that's in the chat will let you know it is. I drank some before the show because I really did need some. So I'm not going to be making it on the show here, but I'll show you guys the flavor I drank. Boom, right there. That is the Aniba elixir. It is a sour gummy bear.
What?
Yeah, it's so good. This is
that would be great in like vodka.
Yes. Oh, actually, absolutely, dude. The flavor profile actually works with that. It's actually really good, man. So now that we've gotten the sponsors out of the way, let's jump right into this. Did I stir it with my finger? Absolutely. I did stir it with my finger. Again, I didn't lick it on the screen so James could get pissed off about it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the guest. Today's guest is a Navy veteran, so we'll try to dumb things down for him, Barney style, as much as possible. But jokes aside, he spent the last 15 years in the film industry as a producer, production manager, visual effects producer, and everything under the sun, from camera operator to the guy who gets everyone their coffee. That's a PA joke for everybody who doesn't understand. He's also a fellow at the Writers Guild Foundation Veterans Project. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and let all the children know he is here. Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, RJ Palisoc.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
man.
You know, what's funny is I just finished eating a burger with an egg in it. So,
I'm making all the Pinoy jokes, and it's like, yeah, no.
on.
Yeah, straight up.
One of the best stereotypes, honestly.
Oh, it is, man. Now, I do the stereotype, but again, but you may not know this, right? And I'm sure Mark knows this. He's heard it before, and everything, and everybody else over at all those like all the different things that we talk with. My mom was adopted, right? So I'm full-blooded Nicaraguan. I'm full-blooded Nica, I don't want to say, but my mom was adopted, and my grandmother was a Salvadorian, and my grandfather was Filipino.
There you go.
So, right. So when I talk Filipino stereotypes, it's because I've lived them. So when I say, Filipinos like wearing J's and put eggs in everything, it's because I grew up with like primarily Filipinos around me all the time. So
breakfast for dinner, man. It's the best.
Oh my God, bro. Give me some silog for dinner and I'm good.
Oh man.
Hell yeah, dude. Right? That's one of my lazy breakfasts, right? When it's like I want something that's got a shit ton of flavor, but I don't know what to make. I'll just go make a silog.
Well, what about garlic rice? You like garlic rice?
Oh hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I started putting butter instead of soy sauce. Instead of salt or whatever people usually put. I started putting butter in Filipino dishes like adobo, and it just it changes it. It's crazy.
It does, dude. No, I use half olive oil and half butter. and it gives the flavor, like it gives the rice a completely different flavor.
All right, we're grilling. We're grilling together.
Yeah, for sure, man. And same thing. I when I make fried rice, I do a Filipino style, so I like move the rice around and then cook the egg in the middle. Like jalapeno style, bro. But jumping into all this, man, because I'm already making Filipino jokes, and we skipped all the Navy jokes, so that's fine. You know, it's
all good.
Like, oh, okay, I'd rather you not. It's okay. You know.
Are you guys veterans?
I am.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, of course.
Army. So that's yeah. You already know because we're making you can already tell from the style of the joke, right? Because if I were a Marine, it would have been like something more around like riding on boats and tin cans, and
it just wouldn't be funny.
Exactly. Right. I mean,
I'll talk to my dad about that.
Well, you know why Marine jokes aren't funny is because they eat enough crayons where they just lost their sense of humor.
Exactly.
Just window lickers, man. Anyways, so let's jump into the questions here, man. So we have a segment on our show called Growing Up Geeky. So we have to ask you, what did you geek out on when you were a kid?
Bro, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man.
Yes.
When they first came on, that's how I started drawing. Like, I was like, how can I? Oh. There you go.
Yeah, he's going to be Billy Lego as well. We talked. Yeah.
That's kind of the gimmick on the show. Is as we're doing an interview, I'm building Lego. So
that's great. But yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Saturday morning cartoons. And I really feel like we lost something with the whole streaming movement. I mean, I love it. I can watch whatever I want, but there's just that magic to waking up at 5 a.m. and grabbing your bowl of Frosted Flakes or honeycomb or whatever you used to eat, Pops.
Yes.
And just sitting and watching all the cartoons, Nickelodeon, Channel 13 at that time. I don't know where you guys are at. I'm in LA, but
I'm in Sacramento. He's in Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So
I think Channel 13 was like Frugal Gourmet. So
here, RJ, this is for you, man.
Hey, Raphael. Yeah, that's right. The original Raphael of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just saw Shredder the other day. You know what he was listening to? The Distance Nerding podcast. I was going to kick the hell out of him, but because he's got taste in podcasts, I let him slide this time. So do yourself a favor. Listen to the Distance Nerding podcast. Have yourself a hot fudge marshmallow tuna fish and Doritos pizza and turtle power.
Yeah, I love Rob. He's amazing.
That was great.
Yeah, Rob did a couple of those when he came on the show a while back, so it was great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Turtles though is hands down one of the favorite cartoons of mine. I try to have my kids watch our generation's one. Like, this is weird. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the new one. Well, the new Turtles are like, they're just built differently. Like, our Turtles were stocky.
Yeah, you could easily envision them as guys in suits.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can see right here, I've got my Raph as the Red Ranger.
That's your favorite turtle?
Raph, when I got older, when I was younger, my favorite turtle. I got my other one right here. When I was younger, my favorite turtle was
Mikey.
Because I think as a kid, every kid relates to Mikey
until he just started using the grappling hook as his weapon instead of nunchucks.
I'm glad I stopped watching before that. That's weird.
But I mean, like, if you watch or if you read the latest book, right? Like, Mikey's the sole survivor and he's a badass, man. But it's because he had to grow up after his brothers died. He had no choice.
He's the last one. I thought his Raph was the last Ronin.
No, Mikey's the last Ronin.
What?
I totally thought it was Raph. Yeah.
Everybody thought it was Raph. So it's funny. I predicted before the book came out. If you go back and listen, so on our regular podcast, we're on episode 196. If you go all the way back to episode 1, we did episode 1 right before the first book came out, and I made my predictions. I said, okay, this is my prediction, right? Of the 4 brothers, I don't think it's going to be Leo or Raph, and the reason is because those are the guys you predict to do it. Leo was always the leader. Raph was always the dude who already kind of was a Ronin, right? So I mean, like, you have those two Those are the guys that make the most sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So bring it to Donnie and Mikey, right? Those are the guys that are going to be the most reluctant characters. Those are the guys that kind of have to play against type in order to make the story compelling, right? So Donnie, being the guy who was mostly a pacifist, but would fight if he needed to, was usually the guy who was smart enough to think his way out of a fight, right? That would be a good reason to have Donnie be there. But the guy who made the most sense to me was Mikey. Mikey was immature. Mikey, never took anything seriously. And it's like, my prediction was it has to be Mikey because he has the most growing up to do. And he's going to go through a lot of trauma if all three of his brothers and his dad died. And he witnessed all of it. Right. So he has to grow up. He has to avenge his entire family. That's what's going to make the most compelling story. And it ended up being Mikey.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. I could see Donnie have left him like a videotape or something to be able to create stuff still as a legacy.
Right.
All right. Well, besides Turtles, though, RJ, other growing up geeky question we have for you is: if a movie was made about you in your life, who would play you and why?
Oh man, Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
I mean, Point Break, Matrix, all of that stuff that I grew up with. As to why specifically, I don't know. I've always felt like because this isn't the first time I've been asked this question. I've thought about this a lot. I just think Keanu Reeves could probably deliver what character I'd like to bring out. I know he gets a lot of flack for his older characters or whatever, but
So would he play you at ages 10 through 100? Just Keanu Reeves playing a 10-year-old RJ?
John Wick, no. It's funny because I actually relate to the Point Break Keanu Reeves a lot. I spent 3 years in Hawaii. I was stationed there, so,
Oh man, yeah, that's a good pick. I can see that.
What about you guys?
Oh, Phil wants Ryan Reynolds to play him.
Absolutely. Okay.
I can see it.
It's like Ryan Reynolds, not a Hispanic man, but he could totally play me, just mainly because of the attitude, the sarcasm. I kind of have like that same type of witty kind of banter that I do with everything. My only thing would be he's too hot to play me, so he would have to put on some pounds and not be as as hot.
Some method acting in there.
He's done it before. We were talking about it yesterday because actually I got asked by our guest yesterday. I think if he were to play me specifically, he would need to do what he did in Just Friends and just put on a fat suit and he'd be fine.
Oh yeah. That was a funny movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. For me, between my entire life until my current age of 40, I want a different person, different race, different gender playing me at various ages. And then when I get to be out 60, it's just Bruce Campbell.
There's a movie about that former version you mentioned. I think it's got Ethan Hawke in it where he travels back in time.
Yeah.
And then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I said I just want I want Chris Rock at 50. I want John Heater at like 40 and just change it up completely. Or Kathy Bates at 20.
There you go.
And again, the best part is it's Kathy Bates at 20. So it's like Kathy Bates in her 60s playing him in his
20s. That's what I was going to ask.
Well, because in the American Horror Stories Freak Show, she played the bearded lady, so I know she can have a beard.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, I loved American Horror Story for a while. It's just I haven't been catching up. There's just too many seasons now.
Well, when you start introducing Kim Kardashian to the cast, you just stop watching.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that.
Which my wife started watching it because she was already watching it, but she went and tried to watch that season because of Kim Kardashian and couldn't get through it. And she loves Kim Kardashian.
Oh.
As soon as she came on, I go, I'm done. I'm waiting for next season.
This is someone who religiously watches Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so RJ, let's talk about getting to you and your book. You know, with all of your history of your IMDb and all the Marvel projects has just been absolutely amazing. So, what was it like going from Marvel projects to then now creating your own comic?
Oh, it was. I mean, obviously, it was a long road. So I'll try to abbreviate. I don't know how much time we have, but.
We got time.
All right, great. So when I got out of the Navy, I was basically, I grew up in LA. I was an artist, I was a writer, but I didn't know anything about getting into the industry or whatever, So I wound up joining the Navy. I was in there for 7 years. I got out, I went into art school right away, and I realized how sensitive I was to getting critiqued on my stuff, right? But then, I worked really hard, and then I wound up getting an internship, and I got a couple internships, and one of them was to NBC Universal, and the other one was to Marvel Animation. And by that time I was a 29-year-old intern, right? So I'm going, okay, I got one shot at this. All the other interns are like 20, 21, and they're in and out, they're coming and going. And I'm like, okay, I got a month left. So I started talking to producers, and I started going, hey, how do I be like you, right? And a lot of them kind of brushed me off, but one of them was like, here's my schedule, just meet me at these places. And so I started just driving to wherever he was going to be, and I got to see a lot of the industry. I got to go to record sessions, writing meetings, storyboard meetings, pitches, stuff like that. And I was like, man, I love this industry, So I
you kind of like unknowingly become a PA.
So it was one of those things where it was kind of, I think the Steven Spielberg story is awesome, because he just kind of walked around and people gave him jobs to do it.
Yeah.
And then he became an employee. It wasn't that like that for me, but it was a little bit more straightforward, where I was meeting executives and they would be talking to me, asking me what I was going to do. And I said, I'm looking for a job. I mean, that's what I'm about to graduate. I'm looking for a job. And one of them asked for my resume, and so I got a call a couple of weeks after saying, hey, we're looking for a PA on this Marvel project. This was Earth's Mightiest Heroes, right? And I'm excited. But I've never been to an official interview. I was in the Navy for 7 years. I was wearing coveralls covered in fuel most of the time.
It's like, I've been to a promotion board, but I've never been to it.
Exactly. So I put on a suit, a double-breasted suit with a gold tie, and I'm coming in to the studio. This was a Film Roman off of Burbank, where they were doing Marvel projects, and they were also doing Simpsons there, and Beavis and Butthead and stuff like that. But so I walked in there, and people were staring at me because I was there for an interview for a PA position, right? And yeah, I did the interview, and I thought it went pretty well, but I can understand this guy in this double-breasted suit going for this PA position. It's kind of weird. Is this guy like really anal about stuff, whatever. But I wound up not getting it. Yeah. So I'm all bummed out, But what I did on the way from the elevator to that interview was I actually just talked to people. Hey, my name is RJ. Yeah, I'm here for an interview for a PA. Yeah, I was an intern at Marvel Animation in Manhattan Beach, et cetera, et cetera. And then I got another call after that, and it just so happened that was the producer of the next show, which was Superhero Squad show. Earth's Mightiest Heroes would have been awesome, but Superhero Squad show was a great entryway into the career, and ever since then I never looked back, so I went into animation.
You eventually ended up on Earth's Mightiest Heroes, right?
I did some work with them, uncredited work, because the way it works is that when you're in the studio and there's multiple projects happening, and especially during that time, things weren't so segmented per show, so you were helping each other out all the time, You might be working on multiple shows, even if you're, staffed on one show.
Yeah, team effort.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm assuming you didn't know what a PA was when you went, right?
All I knew was I needed a job, and whatever they wanted me to do, I was going to do. And it's kind of funny because I really cut my teeth in that position specifically, because I went from being a PA to a production manager in about a year.
Right.
And that's very rare. And that's only, part of it is I was already 30 at that point, right? So I'm just like, okay, you knuckleheads, like I will work my butt off, right? I'm doing 60 to 70-hour weeks, working on the weekends. And I was just looking for every opportunity to learn more, ask questions, and I realized there were not a lot of people that wanted to go outside their comfort zone, and so I went in there. So for example, my producer went missing for a little while. Just didn't show up to work, and so I was a PA. And there were two coordinators above me, and I was like, hey, what are we gonna do? And one of them was like, well, I only work on scripts, so I'm only gonna look after these scripts. And the other one was like, I only work on design, so I'm only gonna do this. And I'm like, but there's a whole production here. Like, who's gonna do what? So I kind of took it upon myself to just start talking to artists. And this is also what helped me, because I spoke to every artist, got to know them very well, figured out what they did, what their deadlines were, and just cobbled together a schedule to try to understand what was happening and how a production worked. And so I did that very early on, and I guess people noticed. And in a few months, I was a coordinator. In a few more months after that, I was a production manager. So and then I became a producer in a couple of years. And then from there, it was just learning how to produce as efficiently as possible.
And that's kind of the story that we hear from everybody that works in the industry is start off as a PA, and then you end up like kind of lucking your way into a position until you find something that you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah, and I would advise anybody that got in at that entry level, if there's something that you really want to be, just make sure you're torpedoing all the way to that position, because so this is to answer your question now. I went through that whole thing, because I got promoted so quickly. Even though I was also a script coordinator for a writer's room, but they needed a production manager for Ultimate Spider-Man that was coming out at that time. And I took it because why not, right? But what happened was, now that I've gone so far in my career, when you're known for a certain thing, which I'm known for producing, and my reputation is that I'm able to start something from the ground up. I can I get hired because this is the first time they've done TV, and now they need somebody with that experience, and so that's kind of my reputation. And so when I try to cross over into the, hey, by the way, I'm also a writer.
Right.
I'm also a creative person. It's like, okay, people are like, sure, we have a budget and schedule for you to look at, though.
Right.
And so, to answer your question, the reason I got into comics was, initially it's because I want to direct, right? I wanted to direct my own stuff, so I started writing my own stuff. I mean, that's what everyone's done, right? That's what all the greats have done. Right. They're like, I want to direct something, so I'll just write it myself. And I wrote a whole bunch of shorts based on Filipino mythology, but also just horror shorts in general. I have like 100 of them, and there was this one in particular. At the time, I was calling it Blue Moon, even calling it Capre, But this Barkskin in particular was a story that I liked and that I wanted to shoot into a short film, and I wanted to shoot it practically with a guy in a suit. Okay, so one of my well, I've got a few friends that are 6'5" to 7 feet tall. So I was like, I think I can do this. I'll put you on some platforms, put you in a suit. But anyway, I started doing research on that. I started trying to figure out how to make this happen, how to make this work. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, especially if you're a guy that's trying to explain himself as being a creative, and people are like, no, I see your resume. So what I wound up doing was, I've been reading comics for years. My first comic was Wolverine: Reign of Terror.
Nice.
Adam Kubert. I bought it at Circus of Books, which is now closed over here in LA. But I've been collecting comics for years. I've always loved comics, and I was reading Sin City again, and I was like, why don't I just make a comic off of these? And I have some training as an artist as well. Obviously, I went to art school, and I've been in this industry. But the thing is, life is crazy at this age. I mean, I thought I didn't have time back then, but now I've got a family, I've got commitments, I've got parents, I've got all this stuff, and I'm realizing, wow, time is truly a commodity, and it just so happened that I was working with somebody who wanted to pitch this comic book called Gladstone's School for Villains, and he I created a budget and a schedule for it, and they went off and tried to pitch it, but I was looking at the artists, and I was like, let me get in contact with these guys, just to talk to them about the process, about making comic books. Let me learn, right? So I'm going back to my PA days, just like, let me figure this out, let me learn. And so I got in contact with them. They're great people, Mark and Armand, and I started working with Armand. I gave him the pitch of Barkskin, which, by the way, this is the t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
But
I love Mark. I love Armand. Armand's the one that we met initially last year at LA Comic-Con.
Amazing.
And then he ended up introducing us to Mark, and then Mark came on the show, and now we've been just kind of like close with Mark. So love that guy to death, man.
Yeah, and so we set off to create this comic, and it's been really fulfilling for me, because on the writer's side, I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people about this, but it's a long journey. It's a long journey to you could have really awesome scripts, but it's a lot of pitching. It's a lot of meeting with people, talking, and you're never. It's going to take a long time before you have something that's tangible, that you can watch, that you can touch, and comics just provided that medium, and it's something, again, that I've lived with, that I've grown up with, that I've loved. I was collecting comics during the 90s when Image came out, and it was like the golden days of comics, so I'm coming back to it now, and I love the storytelling, because it's not just what's on the page, it's also just the translation of this medium that I know that I can also translate into film later on, so
I mean, if you happen to need independent horror people, I know those people.
Thank you. Yes.
He works in indie horror, so
I do. Yes.
That's great. Yeah, that's okay. We will talk.
Yes,
for sure.
So I appreciate the issues here that I was able to read over, and you talked about Sin City, and I wonder, are you keeping it black and white because of something like, say, Sin City, or do you have plans on colorizing it at some point?
So here's the funny thing: it was actually full color. It was full color. It was beautiful. The colorist was this Japanese person, I'm going to say, because I don't know honestly what this person looks like, what their gender is. I have no idea. All I know is their name is Hakuto, and they do great work. You know, they don't show any pictures on social media. You know, it's just a person. So anyway, uh, it was fully colored. It was beautifully colored by Hacto, and then the artist, you know, he just had that itch, and he was like, "Hey, man, I feel like I leveled up. You know, I wanna redraw this whole thing." And I said, "Look, dude, that's gonna cost a lot of money." You know, so, I was like, "I appreciate that, but I got what we need." And he was like, "No, I got this. I leveled up." You know, and he did, and you know, he gave me back the same pages, but like times, you know, 100. It looked fantastic, and I was looking at it, and I was like, you know, we could color it, but I really like the way it looks in black and white. You know, and you just, if anything, I would make the blacks heavier, probably. You know, kind of go Jay Lee with it a little bit. But regardless, I love the look, and I kept it that way. You know,
Yeah.
I'm exploring color. We might go back to color. It depends, but the color's got to be really muted. You know, it's not going to look like X-Men covers or anything. You know, the palette will consist of like 4 colors or something. You know.
Yeah, and there is. You know, I like comics too. I'm not as huge into it, but doing the show and talking to a lot of independent creators, Phil knows, my wife knows that my comic book collection of indie creators is just growing significantly.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's one panel in particular I could see color, not a full page color, but a little bit of color would go really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably, I don't want to spoil anything. You probably know what I'm thinking about. Let's say someone's half the man he used to be.
No, perfect.
Nice. Well done. Very well done.
And I could see that spot being like just a splash of color.
Yeah, I guess like if you're gonna do anything, you just make that one piece.
Yeah.
In color, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And same thing with the spreads. You know, I want to have a spread every issue. You know, yeah, and do that with that. I think that's a great idea.
So, with that being said, like, is there any plan on maybe releasing that original version with the color, like as a bonus? Like, are you guys doing a Kickstarter for the book at all?
You know, well, to your first question, that's a really great idea. I want to honor the artist though, because like I said, when I told him, I said, "Hey, by the way, I got the comic debuting soon," and he was like, "Did you use the new artwork? Make sure you use the new artwork." You know? So I want to make sure I honor that. But it's always, you know, it's always cool to see like just the behind the scenes stuff. You know, at the back of a book or something, just be like,
right.
"Oh yeah."
Like the way I see it is like, you know, if you were to like release that as like bonus content or something and say, you know, first draft or concept drawing, right? You can call it concept, and like maybe instead of putting out the entire book, you put out a splash page and say this is a concept.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. And also maybe even like a side by side. Just saying, hey, this is what we started with. This is where we went. You know, those are great ideas. What was your second question?
Like if you had a Kickstarter going for it.
Oh yeah. So one of the things about Kickstarter, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, is, you know, I've probably pledged to like over 100 Kickstarters, and I've gotten maybe 10 comics back,
right.
You know, so I want to make sure I'm not one of those people. You know, I want to make sure that I've got an actual product, and maybe that Kickstarter is funding print costs or marketing costs or just even the cost of the next book. You know, so that can get going. Right. So most definitely, that's been in my train of thought. But right now I'm busy working on the next 6 issues, you know, so So I plotted it out. It's going to be a lot more action adventure. You read this one. It actually started out as a horror comic because it was a horror short film,
Right. Yeah.
And but I'm probably going to lean more towards action adventure because it's a nice story. It's a boy looking for his real father, with the help of this tree creature, this monster.
Yeah.
So I want to lean into that. But I'm still gonna have a few moments where the cop is just like ripping people apart.
Well, I reading with your inserts and your dual culture of like coppery and American monsters. Yeah. What's it like? Comparing and contrasting the two different cultures. Do you see?
So first, I mean, for me, there's similarities, right? And maybe it's because of the way that I'm interpreting it, because of me growing up here in LA in America. Like the capre to me is Frankenstein. It's a big monster with a heart, kind of. But as far as just comparing, contrasting, obviously American monsters. Well, I mean, Frankenstein's not American, is it? It's European.
I mean, werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein.
Right. Mainstream.
They're not
monsters,
American.
I guess.
Yeah, they're
What's
all
an American monster. Paul Bunyan.
American monster. Michael Jackson. No.
An American monster. Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah. Basically,
skinwalkers are. American.
That's right. Or Sasquatch.
Yes.
Bigfoot. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the capre anyway. I mean, the original version of the capre was like this big hairy dude that smoked cigars. But
smoke cigars. It is Harvey Weinstein.
That'll be in my next issue.
But that'd be like the bad capra. Like you have like the good capra and the bad capra, and the bad capra.
Not a bad idea. But yeah, as far as monsters, the Filipino mythological monsters have that history of being made up through. I guess it's colonialism. I'm not the authority on this, so I'm going to stumble through it. But it's the Spanish conquistadors. It's it's all of that stuff. That's where these monsters came from, and so they have characteristics because of that. Whereas I guess these mainstream monsters, vampires, werewolves, etc.
Yeah.
I'm not even, I think vampires came from zombies, actually, didn't they? Or
they did.
Yeah. So I hope I answered that question.
Yeah. For me, I love horror. Anyone that knows this channel and me, I do too many things horror, and I always find it intriguing. Like I love watching and learning about other cultures' lore and legends and creatures, stuff like that. Just because we can go, unfortunately, America, oh, that's, I don't find X to be scary, like the idea of a Ju-on grudge in Japan, to go, that's not scary. Well, that's not our belief system, it's their belief system. So it's more terrifying to them because that's their belief system versus ours. Right. And I think it's just great to learn about all this different stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're talking about scary, the Manananggal just doesn't make sense to me. It's that is a truly supernatural creature. But I actually wrote a short script for that, and it was basically a love story. It was like a boy growing up with this Manananggal woman and falling in love with her throughout the ages because he gets older, and anyway, I might release that later, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah,
good. This kit just had me make Trogdor, apparently.
Nice. And in learning like that, I wrote a part of a movie, probably 60-ish% of a rewrite for a movie that I shot in Michigan this year, and I looked at ancient French paganism. which is never explored.
Yeah.
You think of paganism as you're always like, oh, it's Celtic or it's Norse or it's Greek, and it's never like other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So
what kind of creatures are coming from that background?
So it's an ancient deity that I wrote in that it was originally existed in North America before really anyone came to settle. And when Native Americans came in the Michigan area, they believe it's a great protector and is an eagle. But when the French colonists came in and went into Michigan, they brought in Lugh, which is a deity that is a protector of the harvest, but also a lawmaker, a lawgiver, and punisher of people that break laws. So it's an interesting thing. You could really play with that.
That's cool. Yeah. And you said you wrote this script, or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and that's why I wanted to do is just bring the idea of the culture that was there and just an ancient deity that no one talks about.
Yeah, there's a lot of untapped, it's amazing though. There's a lot of untapped just mythology, story-wise, from all cultures. And
yeah,
I mean, now's the time, right? I mean, there's so much content being made, and there's so many ways to do it, whether you're filming, whether you're writing, whether,
right.
Whatever medium,
Yeah, and with the copyright, it's just a fun, interesting thing to think about, and to bring it over to really the States and be able to showcase that. I feel that if we don't talk about these old tales and legends and lore, they will be forgotten.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting because my mission is first to tell a good story. Okay, that's my mission, and after that, it's really combining my experience with these almost forgotten mythological creatures, and really, my purpose is to make them mainstream. To tell you the truth, and I've talked to Mark about that a lot, and because Mark came from a similar background of he's a third culture kid, and you're kind of part of so many different worlds, and you have to make your own world out of that. I mean, this is America, right? It's supposed to be a melting pot anyway.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah. So I would love to make these creatures into a more of a mainstream thought than just this is specifically Filipino mythological. Like if you only like Filipino stuff, this is what it's like.
Right.
If you like a good story,
Yeah.
you like a good horror story, if you like monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say, luckily, more Filipino things are becoming mainstream. I mean, like, food, martial arts, FMA is in everything. Every movie is like every TV show, every movie. If you see a badass fight scene, 99% of the time it's FMA.
I didn't know that, but now that you've mentioned it, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like it. And you talk about with the copyright, bring it the mainstream stuff like that. With the indie world, I've had people say, "Oh, you're doing a, let's say you were doing a, werewolf, right?" And they go, "Well, that can't exist in California. Why?
Why? Yeah.
Right. Or they have like a skinwalker. Oh, the skinwalkers were only the belief of the Navajo in this part of America." I'm like, people can move.
Yeah.
They don't have to stay in one spot.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I don't think it would be hard to even really need to be explained why copyright would be in the United States, because migration happens. This is the melting pot. People from all walks of the world can bring these lore and these creatures with them.
Yep. No, that's right.
So I don't think you always just need to be set in that one spot.
Yep. Yeah. And I hope, I mean, there are a lot of creators coming out, and I do hope that more of this stuff comes out, more of this stuff becomes mainstream. There's just a lot of good stories to tell. I mean, what is it? It's the 12. There are 12 stories overall, or whatever, but it's the bread aisle. You've got white bread, wheat bread, sourdough bread. It's all bread, but there's many ways to cook that bread. There's many ways to tell that story.
Unless you're George Lucas, you got one story.
I'm gonna have to admit that I watched episode 1, 2, 3 recently, and I actually appreciate them more now.
The real question is, Padme the best Star Wars character of all time?
No, he's not.
Jar Jar.
Oh God! You wound me. You wound me so.
So, RJ, what really with your first thing, maybe without spoiling anything, being a shared universe, why the Copper first as your first comic?
So it's funny. I'm gonna get a little personal here, but it's really a revelation of mine. So I wrote this script for this story about the boy, and the Capre was kind of like an afterthought, but it was really the story about this boy. And so basically I wanted to tell this story, but I didn't really understand where it was coming from. I just wrote it, and I had my friends read it, and of course, when you have friends in the industry, everyone wants to tear it apart and change your characters and stuff like that.
Right.
Cool. And
that's
then
why I showed it to you guys. That's what I wanted, was for you guys to ruin everything. It's fine.
Exactly. So I put it aside, then I picked it back up, and I rewrote it again the way that I wanted to rewrite it, to write it. So it's interesting because the story is about an abused boy who escapes from his abusive father, right? With the help of this crazy creature. At that time, I was actually going to therapy myself, and it's because of all the army guys that insulted me throughout my time.
That's why you joined the Navy, man.
No, but I was just going through therapy because I think therapy is good for you. You're kind of like when you grow up to become this age. I'm in my 40s now, and you have a brain full of just memories and thoughts that you need to stretch out, analyze, maybe let go, stuff like that. And so I always thought I wasn't spoiled because my dad used to beat me, and that was a good thing, right? But through that just therapy session, I realized I wasn't being beat like a normal kid. so
There's a normal way of this, like
whatever that means, right? But
right.
And I realized why this story was so dear to me. It's because I am the boy, right? I was the boy, and I wanted a protector of some kind, and that's why I was drawn to this creature, because this creature, the Capre, from when I was a kid growing up, the Capre actually protects kids. That's what I've been told growing up. That I think my grandma was the one who said she was walking to school. There were a bunch of drunk guys, trying to lure her or whatever. And when she managed to go, she left and she went to school, but she was afraid to walk back through the same way. But when she did, they were all gone for some reason, and rumor was they were killed or whatever it might be, and she thoroughly believes that's the Capre. Whether or not it is, I mean, that's pretty cool. but yeah, so in my mind, I realized that I was writing my story, and now that I've done that, now that that's out of my system, it's also why now I'm going to branch the story out and really make it action adventure. Really go through the mythology, you know, and so yeah. So I mean, that's what it is. I had a little bit of a slow start to answering your question because I was trying to figure out how to say it without sounding like feel sorry for me. Because don't feel sorry for me because this is the experience of my life. But now that I'm older, you know, I understand where it's coming from, and I wanna spread positivity through this work, basically.
Awesome.
That is awesome, man. It's noble. It's beautiful. Just kind of like you know, that being your kind of goal with this is something that I believe is very honorable.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Phil, we're going to get into some wrap up questions. Phil's going to ask you the hardest question of your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Let me go ahead and switch cameras here real quick. Actually, before I switch cameras and we do that,
Nice.
Are you done?
I'm done with this part. So this is City Hall. It's got like the little slime pit in the front with apparently Trogdor attached to it, but you know, little tree right there, and the watchtower or the clock tower right there. So let's go back to this. I'm going to go ahead and switch my my camera here back. If I press the right button.
Buttons are hard, Phil. I know.
I know. I'm not good with buttons. All right. So yeah, RJ, I'm going to ask you the hardest question you have ever been asked in your life. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. What is your favorite kind of taco?
Oh man, carne asada.
Carne asada?
Carne asada taco. Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to ask an even harder question now because I have to ask this of all my Filipino guests.
Yeah.
What is your favorite kind of lumpia?
Pork.
Pork. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
I always get somebody who's just like, oh man, I don't know. You know, and they'll think for like 20 minutes and then give me an answer.
I mean, any other kind of lumpia is a little weird, honestly. Chicken lumpia is a little weird.
It is the consistency of it. Yeah, I like shrimp pork.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I like the pork and the shrimp together. That is actually really good.
I haven't tried that actually.
Yeah. At least in lumpia, the two of them together is actually really good. Like outside of that, I don't know, but I mean, like, you know.
Yeah.
So who would win in the fight? A very angry Capra, or Harry from Harry and the Hendersons?
It's. I mean, Harry's a nice monster. I'm sure he can get savage, but the Capra is just a whole nother level. So,
it's like they get into a fight, they struggle for a little bit, and the Capra just hits him with the cigar burn.
That's what it is.
Just right in the chest. He gets punched in the face by Harry. He's like, "Putang ina."
That's a really good accent.
I told you I grew up with Filipinos, man. Putang ina shit. What is this shit? Touch me.
You could probably use the magic password wherever you go. You're like, Filipino ka ba? That's the magic password. You get anything you want.
Right. I got distracted for a second. So what's next for you, man? Aside from obviously we're promoting Barkskin, but like, you know, do you have any cons coming up? Do you have any shows coming up? Anything that you want to plug right now before we jump into your regular pluggables?
No, absolutely. I've got, and I got to pull this up. So just give me 1 second. October 23, Barkskin signing event in Culver City and Manhattan Beach at Comic Bug. So that's 2 locations, 12 to 3 p.m. at Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach. Oh, sorry, in Culver City, and 4 to 7 p.m. at Manhattan Beach at Comic Bug. So I got that, but I also got November 13, Golden Apple signing.
Nice.
That's at 11 to 3 p.m. on November 13, Wednesday. And that is the comic book store that I grew up with. That's very special to me because I grew up. I went to Fairfax High School, and Golden Apple used to be right across the street from the school. After school, I just go over there, grab a bunch of comic books, sit down in the corner, and everyone was nice. Nobody ever asked me to leave.
Yeah, Golden Apple is like LA's everybody has a story from Golden Apple if you're in the LA area and you're a comic book nerd.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like that is the cool place to be when it comes to comic books and comic book stores in LA.
Yep. And I'll probably also be at the CTN Expo on November 23, 24, doing a couple of panels.
Ooh. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bunch of fun, man. Again, everybody that's in earshot of this or anybody who's watching this in the future, make sure you make it there and go and check that out. So where can everybody follow you, man? Where can they learn more about RJ Palisoc? Check out
at Barkskin Comics on Instagram, Twitter, X. You can also go to diwatacomics.com to order your issue of Barkskin, issue number 0.
Absolutely. And again, you guys already know I put Diwata Comics up super high in esteem. So you guys go and check that out. Would love all the work you guys do over there. So
yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show here today.
Yes, thank you.
Talking about Barkskin, man. Again, one more plug on the comic, man. Let's give a quick elevator pitch at the end, and then we'll get into everybody else's pluggables.
Sure. Barkskin. Let me pick that up. Barkskin is the story of boy who's looking for his real father with the help of the cigar-smoking Capre. And it's 6 issues are coming up with a lot of action adventure, fighting against different types of Filipino mythological monsters in the search for his real father. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That is absolutely awesome, man. All right. Well, we're going to start getting ready to sign off here. So just give us a second here. That is it from us, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for today's episode of the build. Again, just something really really quick here. Of course, Matt decides to get in here at the last second. Matt, so that's Matt Aguilar from comicbook.com. Matt, you should probably check out this book, man. I think you'd really like it. It's called Barkskin. Diwata Comics. There you go, right there.
I gotta remove this blur.
The filter's just like destroying everything. But Matt, check it out, man, because I know Matt has a whole segment about upcoming comics on comicbook.com. So he's definitely the guy that needs to check that out. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us this week. Of course, Se Wong pops out of nowhere and says, "The Mets won! Holy cow!" No one cares.
No.
So before we go, Matt, there is no Matt here. Graveyard.
Yes.
We have no Matt here. I don't know why. Because I was just talking about Matt Aguilar. So
yes.
Name was in my head. Graveyard. Give everybody your pluggable, sir.
Yes, I am Graveyard's co-host of the Mostly Pod Out Night Mostly podcast.
Oh,
I'm pushing it. Yeah,
shit.
That's you. That's you.
Night, mostly.
Buttons are hard. I know. I would say it's right there, but I don't have my green screen, so it's not right there on Casual Friday the build. So follow us everywhere at Pod Out at Night. We have new exciting stuff. We just released last night the Killer Clowns from Outer Space episode. And
I just started listening to it on my way home today, and it's great.
Yeah, and it's Spooktober, so we are doing twice as many shows. So make sure to follow us and go to Conversations in the Void. This Sunday we have Mario Garay on, and yeah, imagine that. And I'm excited for all the special guests we have planned up. So check us out and make sure to follow Horror Dads as we are going to be kickstarting or Indiegogoing our next project here in November. So
awesome.
We'll have Josh on for that.
Yeah, Josh is actually going to be on the download, so you guys can check that out as well. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I am your boy, Young Phil, Distance Nerding here. Connect with us on all the social media platforms, everywhere that exists. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's not X. We still call it Twitter around here. Twitch, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Discord, MySpace, Vine, GeoCities, Friendster, Second Life, AIM, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle, OnlyFans. It's only pictures of Aaron Watson's feet and mandals, the beard, and Jamez's glasses, just staring at you and judging you in Pinoy, in Filipino. Because he is. The other co-host of the show is Filipino. So just judging you, as your tita does when you don't do what she asks you to do.
He's judging you for not watching Bluey, let's face it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's a great show.
Or he's judging you like your Nino does when you don't walk on the plastic. There you go. I'm sorry, stereotypes are there. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can email us if you would like us to break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, pet, schoolyard bully, annoying neighbor, or just tell us how much you enjoy us, hate us, or wish the internet would consume us completely and spit us out at the feet of a capita. Because it's just there.
He'd burn you with his cigar.
He would spit us out. The internet would spit us out in front of the capita, and then he would burn us with the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Hellboy, but like less angry. Send us an email at dist. Oh, wait a minute. I'm like on the script and not on the thing here. My jokes are not landing. Dist.
Button hard.
Buttons are hard. Well, especially when I have to go between like 3 different places where there's buttons. Oh, God. It's nerding at AOL.com, and we will read it live on air. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. One more time, RJ, give everybody your pluggables here, just because I want everybody to get them a million times so they can go to your pages.
Great. Follow me at Barkskin Comics on Instagram, on Twitter, and what's the other one? TikTok. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. We did not warn you about the dance party, but we are telling you now. Yes, me being Graveyard. That is good, Graveyard. So the dance party, basically, once the theme music starts, you're just going to grab something from around you, whether it be a toy or a comic, hint, hint, or something, right, and just make that dance on screen. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. Let us do this. Let's get this going. And it's going to be unnecessarily long. Graveyard.
Distance nerding.
My Funko Pop is staring at you in Filipino. Judges in Pinoy. Of course he's wearing chinelas. Come on. We'll see everybody next week.